Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Nice. What a nice guy. Go on live on Wimkin in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and live on Wimkin. Transfer over to Facebook. Tag the group. We are 5x5. Confidence is high. I repeat, confidence is high. What is going on, Donut Friendly Nation? Sorry for the screw up. We will stay in overtime. Leeroy may not, but I will. We'll be 10 minutes late. Excuse me, we'll be 10 minutes late. We couldn't get X on. We are going to skip the pre-show. We got too much to do, and we're going to go right into the intro. We will be back in 3 minutes. We'll see you then. Leeroy, say hi.
Hi, guys. How's it going?
Leeroy says bye now. Be back. Well, that was fast. What's going on, everybody? Matthew Spear from the Don't Unfriend Me show. I am proud to announce that the Documents of Freedom are back in stock. It's a 3-book collection, leather-bound, by Arcadia Publishing. Starts out with the Bill of Rights, and it's the complete edition of the rights, so you can look up and reference anything your heart desires. Declaration of Independence, with revisions and founder images included, beautifully illustrated. And last but not least, what would Documents of Freedom be without the Constitution of the United States of America in its entirety? The box is handmade by PFC Flags, custom engraving, all 100% made in the USA from the nails to the glue. And we have a 5-star rating, satisfaction guaranteed, 150 sold, 5 stars or better. It is so important, especially in today's society, to ensure that the younger generation has these books available in the future. I didn't realize how good of a song this is. Available right now. Head on over to thedumbshow.com/books. Folks, we are selling out fast. I think we've got a handful left. If you have not had a chance, go over to thedumbshow.com and pick yourselves up. Just go do it. You know what I'm saying. Be right back. Thanks so much.
What's up, everybody? It's Ryan Weaver. I am on the Don't Unfriend Me show, otherwise known as The Dumb Show, with host Matt Spear. You guys can find the show at The Dumb Show on social media or thedumbshow.com.
Adjusting transmitter output.
This is the Don't Unfriend Me show with your hosts, Matt, Leeroy, Amy, and Olivia. Geopolitics, military analysis, and election coverage. Coming to you live on all major social media channels at The Dumb Show. Honest, direct, unfiltered. We can agree, we can disagree. Just don't unfriend me.
Tammy, I hope you're doing well. I'm sorry to hear about that, and it's never a good thing. Folks, welcome to the Don't Unfriend Me show. I got some good news. PayPal reached out to us this morning after 3.5 days of shutting us down, locking all of our funds and saying that all the money in our savings we couldn't use. And we couldn't transfer it. We couldn't pay any bills. We couldn't do anything. And I'm like, what in the name of the Lord? It was an account verification. We talked to somebody today. They randomly do it, and they usually do it when the account opens before. but for some reason, the volume of business that we were doing and have been doing, they didn't do the flag. And you usually hit a threshold and then they flag you. And you have to verify. You've got to make sure you're a real business, all these things. It's funny, we've paid taxes for multiple years, and I've got 1099s with these guys, and we've done 600 different transactions. Excuse me, 5,000 to 6,000 transactions, and then I can't even tell you how many donations we've done. So somebody dropped the ball, but it doesn't matter. We got an apology and everything else, and I said, well, that doesn't help my daughter trying to buy her a used car. We found an amazing deal from a neighbor for not even really it wasn't even a lot, and we were really excited to do it and to have her a car, and well, we lost it. So a little bummed out. Amy Bordeaux donated $26.25. Want to say thank you to Amy for doing that.
Thank you, Amy.
To let you know, it is back up. So how you've donated always in the past is how you donate. Simple. Just go to the Don't Unfriend Me show at thedumbshow.com/donate, and then click right there, put in the number you want. You're good to go. You can use PayPal, you can use Venmo, you can use your credit cards, Apple Pay. It doesn't matter. Every debit cards, it's all available. So it's back tonight, and it should be as easy as it's always been. So Leeroy, welcome to the show, buddy. How are you?
Thank you, sir. How are you? I'm good. Things are, it's been a little bit of a hectic couple of days, and it's going to continue on at least through next week. How are you?
Good. Got the new Trumplican hat, so I'm excited. We've got these.
I like that.
We're gonna put them on the shop. So there's like 4 new hats coming. We've got the 13 stars and the cross, the Trumplican hat, and then the Don't Unfriend Me, and a couple different hats. So they're available. I'm gonna add them tonight, and we just added this. I've been saying I'm gonna do it for a couple weeks now, and finally have done it. The Zero White Guilt hoodie and shirt is available. You'll also have a hat available here soon, and I will be rocking it. I'm just, listen, this has nothing to do with race. It has to do everything with I'm done apologizing for things I didn't do. And
correct.
It's hilarious because Facebook just approved it, and the reason why is because the description that I wrote said, this isn't about being white. This is about you saying white people need to feel guilty for things we didn't do. And we're done holding to that account. So Zero White Guilt shirt with double fingers is available. And at the bottom, in a distressed, so you can wear it, it says it says no FUCKs to give. But the F or the U is very hard to discern. So shirts available, folks. It's available in hoodies. It's in t-shirts.
God, I'd love to see Damani wear that.
He's going to. He loved the post. So
I love him.
Oh, Damani will totally rock that. I mean, Damani liked it. He came out. He was one of the first people to like it. I'm wearing it, and I don't care. I'm going to wear it out. And if somebody wants to get froggy, then jump. There it is. There's your shirt. Anyway, the Trumplican hat's available. It just says Trumplican, and it's got the United States flag on the elephant with Trump's hair. And I thought it was pretty good. So available. That's awesome. Will be available soon. Anyway, the shirt's available. Go get it. You guys have been asking about it, and I hear so many people say, I want to buy it. So there it is. By the way, we talked about the documents of freedom at the commercial. They are right here. It's all made of wood. These are on pre-order. They're going to be sent out on the 21st. Get them while they're hot. I don't know if we're going to have any more before Christmas. This run right now isn't going very well. I think we've sold like 3 or 4, which is ridiculous. Usually we do a run and they're out in an hour. But they're available. All 3. Get the Declaration of Independence. I think it's $65, folks, for a custom-made wooden box, engraved documents of freedom.
Yeah, that's a really good deal.
Yeah, it's for what it is, and leather-bound books. They're not cheap. They're from the Library of Congress and the Smithsonian. So you guys go take a look. Go over to the Don't Unfriend Me show and take a look. All right, let's move on. Do you want? Can I read this thing and just get it over with?
Yeah, rip the Band-Aid off, man.
Oh. So I just to be honest with you guys, the Irina Zarutska video came out, and I got to see it in its entirety. And, it's not like I couldn't imagine what happened, but when I actually saw it, and I have it, and I'm really challenging whether I should play it, because I know what's going to happen. It's going to get blocked everywhere, because nobody wants you to see it, because somehow they feel that that's going to protect you from the truth. And at this point, this thing is gaining steam. And I know it was fairly impactful to me. because the girl looks like a girlfriend of mine who, if Olivia never came into the picture, this person, after she got a divorce, I probably would have courted and went after and married. She was that good of a friend and someone who I was desperately in love with, and she knows who it is, and she watches the show, and she's a family friend, and there's no feelings like that towards us anymore. But she was my heart and soul, got me through high school, got me through my separation in Colorado when I was leaving California, and has just been a best friend of mine for a long time. And she's a beautiful human being, but looks a lot like her. So minus the blonde. So when I saw it, it was definitely palpable. It hit me. And when I finally saw the live version, I threw up. I couldn't. And Leroy and I were talking about this. We both have seen things that, you would think would be far more severe and a lot more impactful. But this one hit home. So I'm going to be as quick as I can. I think it's important to kind of get it out, and then we're going to talk about this because we got a lot to talk about. So with no further ado, let me just get through this. The murder of Irina Zarutska must be seen for what it is, not just the tragic death of a young woman, but the visible failure of a system that has forgotten its first duty. She was 23 years old, a refugee from Ukraine, a person who had already survived more than most of us could possibly imagine. She escaped artillery fire and missiles in Kiev, only to be butchered on a Charlotte light rail train in North Carolina. There are no comforting euphemisms to soften what happened to her. She bled out on a public transit while others looked on, while her killer, a man who should have never been free, was allowed to roam among the innocent. And if that does not stir us to righteous anger, then nothing will, as his words cascaded in the aluminum coffin. I killed that white girl. I fucking killed her. Government exists to restrain evil. This is the principle that runs through both Scripture and the American legal tradition. Romans 13 tells us plainly that the magistrate does not bear the sword in vain. The state is meant to be God's servant for good, punishing the wrongdoer and protecting the one who does right. Our Constitution echoes this in the commitment to domestic tranquility, to equal protection, to justice that is not selective. But in the case of Irina Zarutska, the sword, and that sword in particular, was left sheathed, and she paid the price with her life. The man accused of killing her, DeCarlos Brown, was not an unknown figure. His record stretched back more than a decade. He was arrested at least 14 times. He served time in prison for armed robbery. His own family spoke about his severe mental illness. In January of this very year, he was arrested again for bizarre behavior and abuse of the emergency system. Yet, despite this mountain of evidence that he was a danger to the public, he walked free. He boarded a train, he pulled a knife, and a young woman died screaming while passengers fled. And after the blood was mopped up, the officials shrugged and admitted the system failed and promised to review procedures. That is not justice. That is cowardice. We must speak plainly. If this had been a case that fit the favored narratives of the national press, we would not be able to escape it. You would see marchers in the streets, politicians on their knees in kente cloth, hashtags flooding your screen, fires burning our cities. Instead, the murder of Irina Zarutska has already begun to slip into the margins of coverage. Why? Because her death cannot be weaponized for the preferred talking points of the cultural elite. She was a refugee, she was a commuter, she was a young woman killed by a repeat offender who never should have been loose to begin with. Her story exposes the hypocrisy of those who say they stand for justice, and they stand with Ukraine, but only when it serves their brand. I say enough. Justice does not belong to one side of the aisle. Justice is not a partisan game. Justice is the command of God and the demand of conscience. And when a society refuses to uphold it, when violent offenders are turned loose, when transit is left unprotected, when mental illness is ignored, then ordinary citizens become prey. That is what happened here. The wolf was allowed in the fold, and the shepherds were nowhere to be found, or at least didn't want to be found. Think about the scene for a moment: a train full of passengers, a young woman bleeding to death, people frozen or fleeing, and a killer with a knife unchecked. That is not the picture of a healthy nation. That is a picture of lawlessness.
And it did not happen in a vacuum. It happened because for years we have been told that incarceration is cruel, that bail is oppressive, that compassion requires us to turn loose those who have already proved they are dangerous. We have been told that to enforce the law is unjust, that to punish is harsh, that to build secure mental hospitals is old-fashioned and archaic. We have been told to lower our voices, to accept excuses, to look away, and now a young woman is in her grave. Do not misunderstand compassion for the sick is good, but compassion for the violent at the expense of the innocent is not compassion at all. Mercy that abandons victims is cruelty dressed in fine words. The prophets warned of this long ago. Isaiah thundered against the rulers who acquit the guilty for a bribe but deny justice to the innocent. God does not smile on a land that excuses predators while neglecting the blood of the oppressed. And if America wants to call itself a nation under God, then it had better remember that he is not to be mocked. What makes this case all the more unbearable is the indifference. Where are the nightly panels? Where are the solemn processions? Where are the corporate statements about standing against violence? When George Floyd died, we saw cities in flames, billions in damages, years of unrest, and sweeping institutional changes. But when Irina Zarutska is murdered on a train, we are offered silence. This is not a plea for riots. It is a demand for consistency. If injustice against one demands a response, then injustice against another must demand the same. Anything less is just hypocrisy. We are told that law and order is oppressive. Tell that to Irina's parents. Tell them that their daughter's death is acceptable cost of leniency. Tell them that the man who stabbed her deserved another chance, another program, another release. And they will look at you with hollow eyes, and those who know that words mean nothing when your child is murdered. Enough is certainly enough. This is not a call for vengeance, it's a call for justice, and justice by definition means protecting the innocent and punishing the guilty. What would justice look like here? First, it would mean the full weight of the law brought down on the killer. Not a plea deal, not a slap on the wrist, not another cycle through the system, but a sentence that reflects the value of the life he stole. Second, it would mean reform that prevents another Irina from dying tomorrow. That means real bail reform, not the soft kind that releases offenders, but the hard kind that keeps dangerous men where they belong. That means real mental health infrastructure, secure facilities that both treat and contain those who cannot live safely outside. That means real transit security, officers present in every car, fair enforcement, and zero tolerance for violence. These are not radical proposals. They are the basics of governance, and yet in city after city, they are missing, all sharing one common thread. The hypocrisy runs deeper. Politicians who cried endless tears over the deaths are silent now. Commentators who demanded sweeping changes are looking the other way. Corporations that spent millions on performative activism cannot be bothered to acknowledge this case, and all the while a young woman's name fades from the headlines. And that is how injustice multiplies, first by failure, then by silence. And silence is complicity. God sees. He sees the blood crying out from the ground. He sees the families weeping. He sees the indifference of leaders who mouth platitudes but refuse to wield the sword. And his judgment is not fooled by press releases. The book of Proverbs says that when the righteous increase, the people rejoice, but when the wicked rule, the people groan. Look around you. Do you hear rejoicing? Or do you hear groaning on the trains, groaning in the homes, groaning in the funerals of those cut down by men who should have been restrained? There is little time to change, but only if we found the courage, somehow, to admit what has been lost. Safety is not racist. Law and order is not oppressive. Protecting women on trains is not optional. These are the foundations of a civilized people. If we abandon them, we abandon everything. If we prefer slogans to safety, ideology to innocence, and remaking words, we will reap what we sow, and the harvest will not be pleasant. Irina Zarutska should be alive today. She should be walking home, calling her family, building a future. Instead, she is gone. The only question left is whether we will let her death mean nothing. Enough is enough. Let her name remind us of what happens when justice is neglected, when hypocrisy is tolerated, when leaders fail. Let it drive us back to God, back to law, back to order. Only then can we say with honesty that we have learned. Only then can we honor her life. Now, let's have a real conversation, because those are all pretty flower-based words. But
Well, it was beautifully written first. Beautifully written. 14 times he was arrested.
14.
So that, I mean, you could make the argument that that part of the legal system did work. He was arrested 14 times.
Right.
Where it falls apart is that nothing happened from that. Like, at no point, no prosecutor could move forward with enough evidence on any of those cases to prevent something like this from happening, to put him in a place where he belongs, because clearly he belonged there 14 times ago. I don't know, man.
And like, when you think of George Floyd, is this comparable at all? George Floyd was a criminal.
Right.
George Floyd held a knife to a pregnant woman's belly as he robbed her. He was a forger. He was a
not a good person.
He was a thief. He was a drug addict. He was an abuser of domestically the people he was sworn to protect. And yes, it was a travesty. Yes, you shouldn't kneel on a handcuffed man in front of an exhaust of a vehicle who's high on drugs. All of these things are true.
Sure.
But I have no empathy for the man. I don't. I've never mourned his death. I never considered his death to be tragic. I considered what took place afterwards to be tragic. I don't have the same sentiment for him that I have even for like a Michael Brown.
Well, is it because that his death was mostly a lot of political posturing?
No, I don't think.
Death?
I think his actions caused his death no matter what.
Yeah.
He was going to die no matter what. And the amount of fentanyl that he took was, by all accounts, a lethal dose, considering that the stress that he received during his arrest compounded with that fentanyl and opioids restrict your breathing, that if he wasn't high, there's a good chance that this, in fact, it's almost guaranteed that he would not have died. But coupled with the drugs, I just don't feel the compassion for him. He put a knife to a woman's stomach. In my opinion, that is worth the death penalty alone. Like, to me, let's go back 50 years. If you put a knife to a woman's stomach, what would that mean for you? What would have happened? What would have, black or otherwise? I mean,
Wouldn't matter.
It wouldn't matter. You're going to prison for a long time. This guy was out the next day. We have to stop. There's an adage is don't confuse my weakness or my compassion for weakness. Compassion is not designed for the justice system. In fact, emotion is to be left out of it. That's why she wears a blindfold. And justice and Lady Justice is not designed to add emotional platitude into her decisions. But we've turned the justice system into a case of Maury Povich, where the sadder your story, the more lenient your sentence. And I believe it should be the opposite. I think bad things happen to people, and but this whole systemic, that you have no humanity because you're a victim of the system. That's not true. I don't believe that in the slightest.
I wonder if, and I like your example, and I like where we were headed with the George Floyd example. The problem is that it's not a comparison. It's apples and oranges. We have the gift of hindsight, and we could look back on George Floyd's life and say, well, this guy was clearly, he was strung out on drugs. To Matt's point, he held a knife to a pregnant woman's belly. He had a history of just terrible, terrible things. So it's hard for the American public to perceive him as any sort of hero or victim or whatever, right? He's not. He has a negative history. But this poor woman, who came from Ukraine, she didn't do it. Goddamn. She did nothing. She was sitting there on a train doing nothing. And some rando psychopath who had apparently been arrested 14 times in the past is able to, jam a knife into her neck. There's no comparison there. She is clearly, and it could have been anybody. That could have been your daughter, could have been my daughter.
Oh, yeah.
It could have been anybody.
My daughter wouldn't have sat in
Right?
front of him. I hate to say it, but my daughter would never put her back to any man.
Yeah.
And,
This is why you
this is
hear
sad.
us, meaning Matt and I, when we go to places, a lot of times I like to have a clear line of sight towards a door, or I like to have my back in a place where I can observe everything. I'm
Every time.
like that too.
Every time. And even when we went to a restaurant together, like Mike and I do this, but Leeroy and we checked each other off in the sense of, you cool with me getting your 6 on this one? Yeah, I got yours, you got mine. I mean, that's just it's just that kind of thing. Like Mike, first time I've sat with my back to a door, it must have been 40 years. It was at Tammy's Diner, and Mike goes, "What's wrong?" And I said, I can't do this. He's like, "You don't think I've got you, brother?" And I'm like, my family safety is not your responsibility. It's my own. And he's like, "Well, I'll keep you up so you can." And I'm like, "All right, well, cool." And it was the most uncomfortable breakfast I've had. And now I can trust Michael, and I've always been able to trust him. But now I feel comfortable with that position of sitting. But you've got to make better decisions. But my point is that this woman, $2, Fisher from Rumble Chat. Thanks, Fisher. Appreciate you very much.
Thank you, Fisher.
He's a scumbag, and I hope Trump issues Bondi to press federal charges. He clearly killed that white bitch. He certainly did, and they are pressing federal charges, and they're going to go after the death penalty for him, and they should. And honestly, they should hang him in the middle of Washington, D.C. in a public square. And I hope they build gallows for him, and I hope they make it a national event. I hope Trump if you want to, you're going to call him a dictator, let's do it the right way. Let's pull a Saddam Hussein. Let's get the steel cable. Let's build a gallows, and let's do this right and hang him from the public square. I mean, if we're going to be accused of it, you might as well do it. I have no empathy for this man. I
don't have any empathy either, but
I don't have any.
to further give the left of more of what they want by way of messaging that Trump is already, some evil dictator, I would disagree with that. But I would say he needs to be punished to the fullest extent of the law, and death penalty should absolutely be on the table.
It's in the law.
If anything, I would love to see said court trial and
Right.
punishment occur in a blue city. I would like that.
But the thing is it won't happen in a blue city. We've learned this. We know this because Washington, D.C. just had a guy who threw a sandwich at a cop, and they didn't do anything about it. They've had multiple people be arrested, and they're letting these people go. They won't do anything. You saw they convicted Donald Trump over something that was a trumped-up charge. That was, misdemeanors that were bumped into felonies. We saw an $86 million penalty put against him because of E. Jean Carroll, because it was past the statute of limitations. It happened 30 years ago, and she had to go rail to have the law changed in order to do it. And then, okay, so we know that's not going to happen. And second, public hangings from a federal government position is absolutely legal. I'm just letting you know they're going to call him a dictator. But federal government has every right to execute someone who they seek the death penalty for. And a hanging is an acceptable form of killing. Execution. So is a firing squad. So is lethal injection. So what I'm saying is no matter what they do, even if they try to put him down the most humane possible way with a sedative or something, it's still going to be he's a dictator, and I don't care. Like, listen, you got to send a message.
Nothing is going to change that narrative. Doesn't matter what happens.
That's my point. So why not hang him?
Right.
Why not hang him publicly? I'm sorry. I'm like, okay. The only thing that career criminals and people who are violent and have no code, the only thing that's going to get to them is immediate death. That's it. That's the only thing that's going to stop a banger from doing what they're doing, is they know that they can go ahead and kill somebody, and they can get as much clout as they have on the street in prison simply for shooting a cop. They're going to be protected on high. They're going to be considered kings and royalty. They're going to get 3 hots and a cot, and they're going to get anything they want inside that prison. Well, what if we change that and we kill them and put them down as fast as humanly possible. Is that going to change things? Or is it because that they're on death row for 15 years and have chances to commute their sentences and get appeals, that why do we have the death penalty if we're not going to use it? I mean, China. I'm not saying we have to. I'm not saying we have to be China, Leeroy. I'm not saying we have to shoot them with the firing squad and send the bullets and the receipt to the families. That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is can we maybe not have it take 5.5 years for a trial? Can it possibly be 5 weeks? And then when you are sentenced to death, you're put to death literally the next day. Is that not acceptable?
No, I mean, for me, that's completely acceptable. Here's where I would disagree with you with regard to Trump. If somebody already has him flagged as or labeled as a dictator, right, then when you put that sticky note on him, right, and you say dictator, you put it on his suit pocket, right? We're saying that's you, Mr. Trump. The last thing I would want to do as a Republican is put underneath all on the sticky note all of the reasons why and have them be validated. Oh, because he followed through with his execution on this, or you know what I mean? Or
no, I don't.
Sent in
Timothy.
He sent in the National Guard into all of these cities. Like I'm saying, pull as much of that back as possible. Now, should the guy?
But why? Why?
Hold on, let me finish.
Okay, but why?
What I'm saying is it shouldn't be politicized to Trump. This should just simply be a case of he killed somebody and the person that he killed was innocent. He is entitled to the death penalty. Let it go. Let it go do its thing. If he ends up on death row, good. But let's not make this about Trump. You know what I mean?
No, I don't. So I don't. Should Timothy McVeigh been put to death?
Yeah.
Okay. So did anyone call, what was it, Obama when he was put to death? Or was it Bush? It's one of the two.
Might have been.
It was
Bush,
either
right?
one of the two. Were they called dictators? They're
No,
going to put it on
is
Trump.
being called a dictator.
Right. So who gives a fuck what they think? My point is, if you're going to sit here and call him a dictator anyway, then your decision process shouldn't even matter. There should be no hesitation that Trump should be involved, because they're going to call him a dictator no matter what he does. Just like they're going to call him a pedo, just like they're going to call him a racist. Why?
Right.
This is the problem I'm saying is why do we care about what public appearance is? I don't care. You know, Trump went on TV today and he held up a picture of a black man who murdered a white woman. In my opinion, that is a level of courage that I haven't seen from a politician since Reagan. There is no politician on the planet who would ever do that. At least Donald Trump did it. At least he stood up and showed a picture of a black man who murdered a white woman and said, this has no place. We're done with it. And what are the Democrats saying? Oh, well, he's just going to go in now and go into Chicago. They have a right to go into Chicago. They're breaking federal law.
Right. The people of Chicago, all of this chaos, the murders, the stabbings, everything that's happening in Chicago is because the local governments are failing to keep the citizens there safe. So Donald Trump is saying, well, if you're not going to do it, it's my job to do what you can't. I understand that argument. I'm just saying, but I just wish the left wouldn't politicize shit like this and say, oh, look, Trump is following suit, doing exactly what we said he was going to do. Like, I would pay those people no credence because they're not worth it to begin with.
No, I understand where you're coming from. I don't expect anything. I told you tonight was going to be emotional. I told you I was going to say things that you disagreed with. And honestly, with respect, and I love you, I don't care. I just don't care. Not tonight. Tonight, I don't care.
I get it.
And Melanie said, sorry, I disagree. A man spent 25 years on death row, found to be wrongly tried. Right. So what we should do is just let everybody free, because there's the presumption of innocence after they've already been convicted. I'm sorry. I understand that the system 25 years ago made mistakes, but today,
this is different.
Today, there's these mistakes with video, with DNA evidence.
Right.
With
you can't look at that video and then immediately assume that dude was innocent in some
that
way.
Argument,
it's just not going to happen.
That argument is saying that's like liberals who go, "Oh, well, abortion," because there's people who have complications at birth or rape or incest, therefore all abortion should be illegal. It's a horrible argument. I just like Ben Shapiro would say, or anyone else, is I'm not going to take the minutia, the outliers, in order to make decisions for the greater good. So yes, people who have been innocent have been convicted. Those numbers are not growing. They're shrinking with video and digital evidence, with science. Most of the time when you do catch these people, they're guilty of it. And I'm sorry, truly, I am, that if a person is innocent, is put to death, that should somehow change the entire system. I completely disagree. Just like I think if you have 99 justified sentences of execution, that means that you shouldn't have reform and look into cases. There is an appellate process. I do believe that those processes are effective. I do believe people get caught up in it, and those cases are different. If somebody was accused of shooting a clerk in a robbery, should that person summarily be put to death tomorrow? No, I don't think so. This is different. This is an extraordinary circumstance. This is a person who is soulless. This is a person who is a threat to society, who will never be a reformed person of society. And if there was a dog with rabies, we wouldn't sit there and say, well, we can't put the dog with rabies down because innocent dogs who don't have rabies have been put down before. You know what? That's a shame, but that has nothing to do with this conversation, in my opinion. It's just my opinion. Leroy, you may disagree.
No, I agree with that. I would completely agree with that. We've had the death penalty argument before, and I have publicly stated on here that, I think it's okay to throw away the idea of the death penalty and let that person rot away in a cell for as long as it takes. And either way is actually acceptable to me. I usually will concede that point when it comes to cases where my counterpoint is one for abortion. The thing is, this guy clearly did it.
Yeah.
The death penalty is on the table. It's completely legal. And it's not like even the religious zealots can understand that it's Catholic doctrine that says that there's a time and a place for everything. There's a time to heal, a time to feed, a time to blah, 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 and a time to kill. All right. They're not talking about murder, but what they are saying is that I believe that it's in cases like this, right, that the taking of a human life is warranted.
Yeah, and people are like, well, he'll claim insanity, and that's fine. Then you have to demonstrate that you're no longer criminally insane. And since he won't be able to, he should be put to death. This trial should take about 2 weeks. You intake him, you charge him, you present evidence, you give him counsel, you have a preliminary hearing, you have discovery, you go to trial, you find him guilty, should take about a day, and then you put him to death. That's it. I'm sorry. That's not totalitarian. That is just like still better than 90% of the governments out there. You give him a fair trial, you do everything that he needs to do, and you summarily execute him, period. And send a message to these people. And the next person that goes and drives by and shoots up a neighborhood and kills 5 people and kills a baby, you do the same thing. And the next time a person rapes women and does it ceremoniously, Joanne Lutman, $50, great coverage. Thank you, Joanne. We love you. You do the same thing. But in my opinion, you should take the top 1,000 most worst people, the worst of the worst, the people who are multiple life sentences or sentenced to death row, who've been there, and you should put them on TV on the major cities and said, this person's the worst rapist in the United States. This person's has been a pedophile. This person is this. This person is this, and you hang him. I just don't have any more remorse for it. We don't have to be Saudi Arabia. We don't have to be China, but we can be somewhere in the middle. We could be England.
Well, and I think that's the point, right? It is within that bell curve. Most Americans can agree on at least a few key topics in there, but there is that 1 to 2 to 5%. And I'm not sure what the actual number is. I wish I had some actual numbers or statistics, but Matt will understand where I'm headed with this. There is that 1 to 5% of the lunatic Democrats out there that would say, no, that person should be able to have a fair trial and he should go and
you no longer have a say.
Death penalty is absolutely off the table. Oh, really? How did you feel when Trump got shot?
Yeah, go.
And then they're like, oh, they should have killed him.
Hang them too.
And there are people like that.
Hang them too. Yep. If you're going to apologize for a person who murders a young girl who is going to work, trying to protect herself from being killed in Russia and having a fucking drone hit her and kill her and take her life, and you stab her 5 times as you watch her bleed out, and then scream, "I killed that fucking white girl. You defend that, maybe you should join him. I'm sorry. You guys, I've gone to the dark side. I'm Anakin, and I see a bunch of baby sand people, and I'm ready to start whacking some fools for taking out my mom. I'm not, the Constitution, fuck the Constitution tonight. I don't care. And this is tonight. Tomorrow I'll be sensible again, but tonight I'm going to be emotional. And I think the judge should be disbarred, and I think she should face criminal charges. That is neglect. It's wanton neglect. And do I think we should hang people for political opposition? No, but I think if you go out and you put your credibility and your reputation and you vouch for somebody, we should treat it like the mob. You vouch for that person, you defend that person, you justify the killing, then you should be put on trial. I'm sorry. I mean, let me ask you a question, Leroy. You're in the military.
Me?
Yep.
Sure.
You're in the military and you vouch for somebody. And you're doing human intelligence, whatever, and you find a contact and you bring in a kid and you're going to turn him and you're going to use him to, sure, collect intelligence, and you're going to give him a, $50 a week worth of American surplus and goods, and, have this kid be here. Fisher donated $1. I went to jail for 3 years for a half ounce of weed. My cellie was doing 150 years now, is not even, and that's more than 2 life sentences. Right. Thanks for the donation. And this kid decides to come in and you vet him, you vouch for him, essentially you sponsor him, and he comes in and he clacks off a vest in month 2. Who's responsible?
I mean, there's some shared responsibility for my part. Absolutely.
Thank you, Frank.
Thank you, Frank. But 100% of that blame needs to go to the kid.
Correct. So,
I mean, there is some shared responsibility, but I think we also need to we need to remember the immortal words of Marcus Aurelius, who said, "To punish only he who has committed the crime." And a lot of times we when we get emotional, we like to run on these tangents to basically say, "Oh, the system is at fault," or "this person is also at fault because they were complacent," or this or that. No, it's got to be
thank you, CJ.
The cop who knelt down on George Floyd's neck. It's got to be the dude who just shoved the shiv into this poor girl. They are the guilty.
But it's not just him. He has an excuse. He is mentally deranged. He is a paranoid schizophrenic. Mm-hmm. He is nuts. And people are like, mental illness. Yes, it's mental illness. Of course it's mental illness. It's like, stop saying shooters are mentally ill. What do you want to call them sane? You want to normalize them? Of course they're psychotic. This guy at least had an excuse that he was completely fucking off of his rocker and should never have been released to society. Why wouldn't you blame the judge? Why wouldn't you blame the judges who nobody threw a book at him? Because he was black? Because he had a mental disorder? And they continued to kick the can down the road, even after his own family demanded his incarceration. His own fucking mother, the matriarch of the family, a black woman, wanted her son incarcerated for the safety. He beat the living shit out of his sister. Mm-hmm. Any judge that let that off is culpable. I mean, otherwise, then
on that front, I would agree, because he was guilty of something 14 times prior.
Right.
I'm not saying that it's anybody else's fault. I mean, certainly there's some shared responsibility there for the judges, only by way of they didn't hold him accountable before.
Right. They're responsible, are they not? My point is the person who gave the kid a vest responsible? Is the person who gave that person and radicalized that child responsible? Would we go after the the shaman of the opposing village who radicalized him to go up and blow your friends up and blow up your base? Of course you would. First thing you would do after you get that kid, and then you would be debriefed on it. If you were still in the military, that entire base would be going after whoever orchestrated that hit. And my point is accountability doesn't stop with the crime. There's not just the criminal who perpetrates the crime. It's the people who aided and abetted the crime. It's the people who assisted the crime, cover up the crime, propagated the crime with their own inaction. A judge has to be responsible. Now, is the public defender responsible for getting him off? No, of course not, because that's the public defender's job.
That's his job, right?
Right. But the judge is supposed to be impartial. The judge is supposed to not use personal emotion to make a decision. It's supposed to be based upon the law. And somebody who's been charged, I mean, I'll show you this graphic, man. Listen, I'm not, like, this is why when you came on tonight, I knew you're going to be the voice of reason, because you're not where I'm at. And it's not that you don't care. Of course you care. I'm not questioning that. I'm not questioning that in any way, shape, or form. My point is you're just not affected by this like I am. It's just, I'm sure there's something else in your life you've been affected by. But my rational state is out the fucking window. I mean, I'm all about reciprocity right now. I'm Michael with a sword, and I want to wield it. I want to wield it. So there's a stat. It's out of all of the homicides that take place and the crime in the United States today, and especially homicides, it is conducted by, more often than not, 3 to 7 previous crimes of felony stature. They own like 96% of the overall crime and homicides in the United States. Then it just goes down, and get this shit. And then, like, the other highest number out of all of that is 31 crimes or more owns the rest of them. 31. But most of the homicides and felonious crime in the U.S. is caused by people with 3 to 7 previous felonies. And on average, in New York and bigger cities, 11 previous crimes of a felonious nature have been perpetrated against the people before they commit an atrocity of this nature. There's more than enough room. If we just simply do a 3 strikes, you're out.
Right.
You're going to eliminate 90% of the ultra most violent crimes in the United States, because once you hit 3, you're done. And isn't that enough? Isn't it? I understand 3 strikes, you're out is a slippery slope.
It's enough.
Yeah.
No, I don't think it is. I mean,
well, it is, because if you drive drunk twice and then you go ahead and rob a liquor store, should you go to jail for the rest of your life? I don't think so. Okay. But that's what, but you got to understand, they do it all or nothing. But I look at it this way. If you do complicit and explicit harm to another person,
crimes, right? That's
right. There you go.
Right.
Violent crime. Right. Like if you're a person who's conducting abortions in the back alley and people have died from it, you're going to get some jail time first time, and second time you do it a third time, you're going to jail for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
If you peddle drugs that deal in it is homicide, then you should be classified as poisoning people. So it's murder. And it could be even involuntary manslaughter, but you should be charged with that. And if you get charged with that, and you have 2 other crimes of, let's say, an incidental shooting where someone was, at a robbery in a start, it was a strong arm robbery with firearm, with the intent to obviously kill if necessary, and then you got off on some other charge, driving a car, and you swiped a you're going to jail for the rest of your life. You're done. But the problem is we don't have the space in the prisons. So you got to clear out death row. You got to take all these people who are on death row and you got to clear them out first. And that would require the United States to actually stop the argument about capital punishment. Shit or get off the pot. Shit or get off the pot. Either we believe in capital punishment as a society or we don't. We need to vote on it. We need to make it a constitutional amendment. We need to relieve the states of this responsibility and make it federal crimes. That when you are charged with a capital offense and the state wants to go ahead and charge somebody with capital crime, that once that is a conviction and sentencing is done, it goes to the federal government to execute the punishment. Take it out of the state's hands. States, no more Mississippi midnight freaking fryings and the governor with appeals. Give them the trial and have the federal government do it. Put them all out on a flotilla. and hit it with a drone, hit it with a Hellfire once a month. Well, I don't know, whatever it is, but just, I'm tired of the argument. Either we believe in an eye for an eye and tooth for a tooth, or we
Right.
believe in turn the other cheek. So remove all executions and start building mass incarcerations. Start doing floating prisons. Let's get Con Air created, whatever it takes. But we need to either quadruple our current population of prisons and federalize it, or we need to start taking people out. I'm a little hellfire and brimstone tonight. I understand that, Leeroy. I didn't expect you.
Dude, I get it. I get it. It's especially heartbreaking when it's an innocent person, somebody who had no knowledge that something like that was coming. Most and we're built differently, right? Most people who have gone through the military, they understand that, hey, the whole put your head on a swivel, all of that stuff. And even as you get a little bit older, right? Eventually both men, women, older people, they understand that, hey, maybe it's okay for me to carry in order to protect myself. It's in our Constitution. We should be allowed to do that. But here we have a woman, a young woman, who knew nothing of those worlds, right? We talk about how bad Ukraine is, how bad it's a war zone over there, and that how people are getting killed indiscriminately every day over there because of a war that's going on. Somebody escapes that, right, to come here to try and make a better life, and what happens? They get shanked in the throat.
Yeah.
God forbid, day fucking 5. That ain't right.
No, it's not.
So what do we do? I mean, the only thing, if anything, I say that this actually helps solidify the argument behind 2A. I really do.
Yeah, but in this case, it wouldn't have done any good, right?
It wouldn't have done any good in this case because she was ineligible. But just saying.
Listen, more guns is, in my opinion. But here's the problem: is we talked about this last night. Is that even if anyone would have stood up and would I have shot that guy if I was on that? No. I don't want to go to. I don't want a penny. I was saying it last night. It'd be $1.5 million. Just let alone it's $150,000 retainer. I have to mortgage my house, mortgage my future, cash in my life insurance policy. Everything I own would be on the docket to pay these lawyers. It would be a $1.5 million. And then what happens? Does Daniel Penny seem like he has some sort of tour and indisposable income coming in? Disposable income coming in.
Right.
I don't see him on a podcast. I don't see him selling books. I don't see a Netflix special. This guy is literally, who's going to hire him? Hi, this is Domino's Pizza. This is Daniel Penny. Can I help you? Are you kidding me? Nobody's going to, this kid's life's over. It's over.
Right.
And minus a GoFundMe.
And that's a part of the issue too, is the way that video played out, right? The stabbing had occurred. The dude stood up, walked right around her, and waited politely and punctuated to get off the train at that point. So what the hell happened there? How'd I get green? Oh,
I'm showing one of our fans, Don Bradley. It's a green screen. So he's sitting behind a green screen and I put the image up. So I took a picture of the spot that's actually his and I put him in it. It's the same way we do this.
He put me in my spot.
See that? He's in his place right now. So I can look down. I'm like, toodles.
Hello.
Hi, Leeroy. Hello, dear. So that's how we do it. Technology here at the Dumb Show. It's what we do. So we want Leeroy here full time. Trust me, we got to convince him to move to Virginia when he retires, but we want him here. And it would be probably a good move for him because contracting is very lucrative in Virginia. Matt is a master editor, almost real, or is it Memorex? Yes, I haven't heard that commercial in a while. Listen, I'm mad. I'm mad because
you should be. It's shits like this is not supposed to happen. It's okay to be mad.
Yeah. Like, I would love, you know what? I don't even want 5 minutes with that guy because that guy is a paranoid schizophrenic. It's a horrible mental disease. This guy should have been in the facility. He never should have been free. I want the judges who let him out. Give me 5 minutes of the judges because these people have progressivism has no place in a republic. Because the true nature of progressivism is it's regressivism. That is there is nothing progressive. We are the most progressive society on the fucking planet already.
No.
We have moved forward and advanced and literally taught the world a system of government that works, an economic system and our republic that it actually works, as long as it is not completely infiltrated with corruption. And progressivism past the point, which is change without merit or change without need, is just doing change for the sake of change. That's modern day progressivism. And what it does is literally regresses people back to what they've already learned. Does this not resemble what we used to be in the Old West? Does this not resemble what we saw in 1920s and the 1940s with the corruption of the legal systems inside each state?
Right.
Is this not what we've seen around the world? We're regressing as a people. Are you kidding me? We're even talking about segregation again. I mean, we've already done this shit. Now we hate the Jews again? Are you what? And women aren't women?
Well,
What's next? Yeah.
It's completely cyclical, right? So when most progressives, hang there, that's the hill that they're willing to die on, right? They don't realize that progressivism, to Matt's point, leads to authoritarianism. It is completely cyclical, and it kind of reminds me of that Joe Rogan quote, "Hard times create strong men." Give it a decade, give it a generation or two, but progressivism absolutely turns into authoritarianism. And then at some point, somebody has to fight said authoritarianism in order to get everyone's liberties back. It's cyclical.
What would I have done, I think is the question. I wouldn't have been on that bus to begin with. I would never take public transportation. And I'm in a place in life where I don't have to do that. But as a young girl who is Ukrainian, who's working at a 5 and slop, she doesn't have that choice. I never would have sat behind him. I would have raised my daughter to teach her never to ever sit in that position that she was in, that you stand. You never sit. You never put your back to an open source. You don't take it at night. You always travel with a friend. That you always have your head on a swivel and get your fucking head out of your phone. What would I have done? I would do what I've always done in life. I would run towards the fight, because it doesn't matter. I'm not going to sit here and recount stories, but I can tell you constant examples of me getting involved when I shouldn't have. And it doesn't matter whether it's a car accident. It doesn't matter some guy beating the shit out of his girl inside the apartment. It doesn't matter whether there was an apartment on fire. Whatever it is, I get involved, and I always get involved. So would I have gotten involved? Yeah. But I'll tell you this, the Matt 10 years ago would have shot him dead. The moment that he stabbed her, I would have drawn on him and I would have put him down in the ground. The moment I witnessed that.
And I honestly think that you probably would have not encountered the legal issues that you think you would have.
Oh yeah,
because
10 years ago.
He would already proven his intent by stabbing that poor girl in the neck. So the moment he stood up and he made any move whatsoever, I think anybody would have been justified in putting him down, just by nature that he still had the weapon, he was still dangerous, and now he was potentially moving towards somebody else.
If it was legal to carry, if you were justified to carry,
right.
If there wasn't signs and notifications like a 50.1 or a 50.2 that said you can't conceal or open carry on this moving vehicle, or if you had a progressive DA who went after you and explained that she was actually abusing him and had just cheated on him and it was a crime of passion and he wasn't in the right state of the mind, had temporary insanity, and you murdered him when you weren't the judge and jury, because that's what would happen today. Because they just did it to Daniel Penny. They just did it to a lifelong Marine and said that he wanted to kill somebody that day. That was what they said. I mean, open court. And so, listen, when I got my CCL, and every time I go and re-up, I always do one thing, and I always say, tell me again what my responsibility is with a CCL. And it is to get yourself home. And unless you are being stopped from getting home, or you or your family member, you have no right to draw your weapon and fire. If your car is being hijacked, you let them hijack it. If you're being armed, if someone's robbing you, you give them your wallet. And the only time that you draw your weapon and fire is when you are not going to get home. And that, to me, is insanity.
Mm-hmm.
That is the dumbest thing ever.
Here in Ohio now, when you get your CCW, along with the actual card, they also give you a little business card that basically gives you the criteria for which it's legal to pull. And I found that really interesting. I just ended up re-upping and getting mine again. And as I was thinking about it, a lot of people made the argument to me, why bother? Ohio is a constitutional carry state.
Is it stand your ground too?
You
Castle doctrine?
It is. So why do you need a CCW at all? Right? And it's a valid point. But here's the thing. Now, if something should happen, a policeman, when I hand them over my CCW, God forbid, an event happens, they would understand that I went the additional step to make sure that I was legal. I went the additional step to prove that I had not only the instruction and training, but that I also went out of my way to notify the state that I was carrying. And that could go a long way in a court of law. So
yeah, and listen, everything you're saying is right. But when, USCAA says the recommendation from them is that if you're involved in a shooting, simply the only thing you really say is lawyer. That shows you the system's against you. You know what I mean? And that's not what they say. Detective, I'm 100% want to be cooperative. However, at the advice of legal counsel, I must request that I no longer say anything and that I would like to speak to my lawyer. And you repeat that. Don't talk to the cops. They're not your friends. And every time I watch these frickin' crime dramas, I am so amazed that people don't just stop and say, lawyer. Shut up. Don't say it on 911. Don't say it on the squad car when they bring you a cup of coffee and a blanket. Their job is not to define your innocence. It's to find out what happened and assign culpability and blame to the person responsible. And you are a suspect. So, like I said, dude, I carry, and at a lot of times I'm just like, I constantly think about what would I do? Like, you're in a restaurant, somebody walks in with an AR-15. It's down in the down position. Do you fire right when they walk in the door?
No,
because you go to jail for the rest of your life. They gotta raise that thing, rack it, and start firing before you engage, or you're going to jail. Because
there's too many people. Sure, there's too many memes of those old fuckers who like to walk around with one hanging off their shoulder because they want to prove a point that, it's absolutely my legal right to carry this, and they're not wrong. It is their legal right, but the moment they raise it up, that's a problem. Now you've crossed the line, and it doesn't take much.
I was raising it up to show my neighbor. I was bringing my gun in to show him. He's going to buy my AR-15. It's legal. We were just I'm FFL.
Sure.
So
that's how you get your ass aerated. Sure.
Yeah, but the problem is that's the thing, man. So I was thinking about that. I was like, what if someone had an AR? They brought it out of their truck, started walking in the restaurant with it. Can I shoot them? No, not until they start firing rounds at 2,700 to 3,200 miles an hour. Can I go ahead and engage? I mean, it's crazy. I mean, carrying today is just a different animal. Now, I'm in Virginia. I'm lucky. But when I was in California, I shouldn't even have carried. There's no reason for me to carry because honestly, I'd rather die because the result is worse. Karen says, would you agree that Japan has strict laws to keep citizens in line and they don't have crime the way we do? No, but Japan also executes their convictions and their sentencing quickly.
Japan, if I'm not mistaken, is one of the only other westernized countries that has the death penalty.
Japan don't fuck around. And
Japanese
prisons are no joke. Japanese people, it's also an incentive intrinsically, the value of their honor system that they have, that the shame, and it's just a different society. People are just like, well, Japan doesn't do it because of guns. No, Japan doesn't do it. One is because we've nuked them into oblivion. And the culture of the Japanese has an honor system which is ingrained, but can I tell you is dying quickly with the elder generation. I believe Japan will become rampant with crime in the next 10 to 15 years to a point where we won't even recognize it anymore. Because the elderly population of Japan is dying. 73% of Japan is elderly.
Yeah.
Japan's in deep shit. And this younger generation does not hold the same standards as the older generation. And when they go, I think Japan's going to run amok. I think the edible panties, used panties in the vending machine, and having little girls who are like 8 years old literally have their panties showing up their short skirts, their culture's fucked.
Yeah.
Japan puts a nice dressing over it, but I've lived there and everyone's like, oh, it's so perfect and beautiful. There is a very seated underbelly in Japan, and it's very, very weird. It is. And can I also say this, to be completely transparent, not to be racist? And it's always nice when people say, well, this country doesn't have this crime, and Australia doesn't have this crime, and Denmark and Sweden and Finland don't have this crime, and Japan doesn't have that crime. Yeah, they don't. They also don't have something else. And I'm not going to say it. And I hate to say it. And I'm not trying to be racist. But I'm just going to be honest with you because the numbers say that I'm right and I'm not racist. There's a lot of variables in the United States, and there is a detriment to bringing in multiple cultures that don't believe the same thing. You get this type of behavior.
There's your answer right there. It's not necessarily the race, it's the culture behind.
Well, that's my point. It's not about, but people will say it's just like they'll call Trump a dictator. You're racist because you said that. No, what I'm trying to say is cultural value is kind of difficult to have above standard cultures inside black communities when literally Democrats have made them the modern day slave plantations and destroyed the matriarch and patriarchal society of African Americans, which used to be one of the most honor bound and integrity filled family structures in America. This is the absolute truth. And it is eroded and completely degraded into violence and a lack of family values. And if you think that makes me racist, then I wear the moniker proudly because it's the truth. And I'm not the only black person who says it. Most black people who are successful in life will absolutely recognize the culture inside the African American communities and these inner cities is detrimental to the black populace and the people who are there trying to do the right thing. It is. So am I saying that all cities are perfect and don't have black people? That's not what I said. Because Belgium is a perfect example of a city which is actually doesn't have a lot of crime and has a ton of black people in it. What I'm saying is the culture is unique to that country. And when you have opposing viewpoints come in, you have erosion and you have decay. Look at England. Look at France. Look at Nepal. We're going to talk about it tonight. Take a look at the United States. Take a look at what happens when you bring in illegals to this country who hate America. Look at what we're seeing in California.
Right.
Look at what you're seeing. They hate America. Why are they here? Well, it's not because they love America. They want the free ride. There's no American pride here. They fly the Mexican flag on the 4th of July. Right. Cinco de Mayo is their revolution, not ours.
These would be the people that would advocate for higher taxes but less police force.
Right.
They want to see some of the policies changed out there so that there's no pursuit laws in California. If some rando walks into a 7-Eleven and walks out with $500 worth of merchandise, the store owner can't do a damn thing. Not allowed to follow them, and the cops don't care.
Right. And the cops won't engage. They have a no-follow law in a lot of states where you can't chase them. That happened in Colorado. A guy came in, broke the window on one of our streets on 88th and Iliff in our Game Crazy store. He stole like $30,000 worth of video game systems. There was a snowstorm. He was literally 300 yards away, just pulled out. They saw him in the parking lot. Cops didn't chase him because it was too dangerous.
What do you think something like that does to the local housing values, to the local?
Oh yeah.
To the people of the cities in those areas.
My DM called me and said, I'm sitting in the side of a Game Crazy with the windows open. There's a fucking blizzard outside. There's 3 feet of snow. It's like 12 degrees. and the heat's not on because Hollywood Video shuts down all power to save money, even on all the refrigerators and the soda machines. And it's freezing cold in this Game Crazy. And she's like, I need you to sit in there and watch it. And I said, the fuck I am. I'm leaving. Fire me. I'm 45 minutes away. I got here. The cops won't do anything. They won't even fingerprint the place because they're not even going to go after these guys. They've got their tracks leading to the apartment complex in the Greenwood Commons that they're at. The cops aren't even going to go after them. Why should I stay? What do you want me to do? You want me to give my life so when they come back and clean out the job? Fuck you. I'm not staying here. Listen, people look at the United States and say, okay, the United States is one of the most violent places in America. You know what? That's absolutely true. It is. But all you have to do is remove 4 cities out of the equation, and we move to like one of the best. Nobody wants to talk about
which cities? Which cities, by the way?
Los Angeles is number 1. Los Angeles, California.
Okay.
Number 2 is Baltimore, Maryland. Number 3 is Chicago, Illinois. And I think it's those 3.
Okay.
There's a few others, but if you take out those cities,
I meant to make a post about that earlier.
you got to look up the stats. Please look it up. But I've checked it, and it's absolutely true. If you take out like the top, like we're supposed to be like top like 5 or 6 most violent countries in the world as far as homicide. We're one of the top, and if you take out, which removes something like 76% of the murder inside the United States is done in like the top 3 or 4 cities. It puts us in like a ranking of like 176. It's not that our crime is bad compared to the rest of the world. It's that we have megatropolises that are responsible for most of the crime in the United States. And it's the culprits. Philadelphia, Baltimore, Detroit, Chicago, et cetera, et cetera. So let me see if I can find that for you because that'd be interesting. Folks, we're going to take a quick break. Yeah. It's 2021, and I'll look up that number, and I'll come back and give it to you. We're at 123.51. Listen, they took 15% of our overall donations last night for the new processing because we lost PayPal. We would really love to overdrive. We know the show's good. We got a whole bunch more for you, but 123.51. We're going to take a quick break. We're not going to do a trivia question tonight because I just didn't have the time to do it. So I appreciate y'all. Do me a favor and listen to this quick commercial and see if we can get some donations going here. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Olivia Spear, host of The Dumb Show. For 3.5 years, we never asked for donations. But after Facebook demonetized us for speaking the truth, we've had to turn to the one thing big tech can't cancel: you.
I'm Hayden, Matt and Olivia's daughter. This show's never chased sponsors or sold out. We've built something honest, and it's thanks to you.
I'm Ethan, their son. Every share, every dollar, every message, you're the reason we can keep calling out the BS and bringing color back to the world going gray.
If you want to help, we take PayPal, Venmo, or snail mail. You can send it to P.O. Box 2, Round Hill, Virginia 20142.
Can't donate? No problem. Just share the show with someone who needs to hear it.
Thanks for helping us stay loud, proud, and completely uncensored. You can donate at thedumbshow.com/donate.
You know what happens when you turn the dial harder? You can make a harder grimace. The harder you grimace, the more effective it is.
You tighten it so frickin' I can't do it. I can't untighten
That's what she said.
That's what she's... Oof. Oof. Coming in with it. Pound it. Pound it. Pound.
Child 15.
Ethan, you look like a hippie.
You know this is recording, right?
Okay, let's go. Smile. Donate. Don't start with me. Donations. Every time you don't smile, I'm going to punch you in the ribs. Donations. Take 1. Scene 1. Ready. Set. Ethan. Ready. Don't screw it up.
Okay.
Ethan, don't mess this up. Ready. Set. Action. No. Whoa. Director calls action, not some stupid toddler.
But we've built something
There's
honest.
no but there. Why do you've been doing this since you were 2 years old. Try it again.
Just share the show with someone who needs to hear it.
He's so much better than you at everything.
He's better than
Hayden, he's just like, even, it's just, go ahead, Hayden.
Thanks for helping us stay loud, proud, and completely uncensored.
That's a wrap. Well done, Spear family. I bet we make no money.
But I'm gonna owe them money without.
Hayden, do your thing again.
Oh, yeah, cut it.
Baby shark, doo 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 doo.
All right, everybody. So let's do the math. So if we took out Chicago, Philly, New York, Detroit, the U.S. still ranks among the top 10 in the world for total murders. Brazil's at 38,700. Mexico is 32,200. India is 30,000. South Africa is 27,000. If we take out the top 10 cities, it puts us in overall 10th. But if you add in all crime, which is carjackings, drug deals, grand larceny.
That's gonna push it up quite a bit, I would think, right?
Oh, wait, push us up what? Like push
The crime level.
Oh, God, yes. I mean, you're talking in the millions. But if you go ahead and remove those top cities that we mentioned, it absolutely drops us down. Just if we take out Chicago, Philly, New York, Baltimore, Houston, Los Angeles, Detroit, St. Louis, New Orleans, and Cleveland, you're going to save 3,600 murders. That's incredible. It still leaves us at 16,740 murders out of a population of 320 million. I know that seems like a lot. But take a look at Brazil at 38,700. Mexico, 32,000.
Right.
India, 30,000, right? So, but if you take all crime and you take out the top most dangerous cities, and the top 37 out of 50 are all liberal cities, it puts the United States in a completely different bracket as far as its crime. The crime that takes place in the United States is owned by the largest cities in America. And these largest cities in America are liberally owned. So if you remove them, this is the result you get, is you get a lower crime statistic per capita. Great show as always, Joanne Tenzin. Sorry, go ahead, buddy. My bad.
No, go ahead.
You get
Joanne Townsend donated $10, says, great show as always, Matt and Leeroy. Thank you, Joanne.
So I'll pull the stats and I'll make the meme and I'll throw it your way. But if you do take out the top 3 cities in crime, it's New York, it's Los Angeles, and you got to assume that Dallas has got to be up there too.
Right.
JD Stillwell donated $10. JD, I'm sorry we didn't get to do the trivia tonight. PayPal pulled us last night, so we had to go with a secondary company. It was a business verification they're doing. So we would really appreciate it if we could make up some numbers tonight, if you guys can help us out. Top most murders: Chicago, Philly, New York, Baltimore, Houston, Texas. Angela Hills donated $20 because I live in the worst state of the U.S. Thanks for another great show. Thank you, ma'am. Los Angeles is actually not as high as those other cities: Detroit, New Orleans, St. Louis, and Cleveland, Ohio. So there's a lot of crime in the United States. There's no doubt.
But if you remove just those 4 cities, which are democratically run, that drops our stance in terms of the world violence from like number 1 down to, what did you say it was like?
See, it's all violence. So if you take just homicides alone, it doesn't even, like, we're top 3, top 4.
Yeah.
If you take out those cities that I mentioned, it puts us outside the top 10, but you have to take all crime. So in those cities, it takes all crime, because it would literally take the amount of crime that we have from multi-millions annually to hundreds of thousands. And the rest of the world may not have the homicide rates that they have, but they have other things that are just as bad. Assault and batteries, deaths by hammers, things, blunt force traumas, bludgeonings, using vehicles as weapons. So they may not have the access to firearms that we have, but specifically, you got to break down the number by firearms deaths. And you also need to understand is that with the firearm deaths, it's not also comparing gangland shootings and suicides. And that is a big thing. When you take out suicides and gangland shootings as mass shootings for gun crime is not as large as we actually think it is. And if you take out AR-15s, the shocker is that doesn't even make a dent. Only 1 out of 10 of the gun violence is caused by a rifle. Most gun crime, 67% of gun crime, is handled by a handgun. And then it's a shotgun.
That's incredible.
Then it's
That's
a rifle.
incredible.
I know. So when you say want to ban semi-automatics, but you can't take out the cities, so we are very high crime. Of course we are. But I know you can't. What I'm trying to say is that when you look at the numbers, they like to say that the red states are responsible for most of the crime. Yeah, but those red states are buried with blue cities, like Baton Rouge. You know, and Kentucky may have a lot of gun violence, but take a look at where the gun violence is taking place. It's not happening in the hollows. You know, look at Virginia. It's not happening out, you know, in the Shenandoahs and the Blue Ridge. It's happening in Fairfax, and it's happening in Alexandria. We know you can't take out those cities, but what if we tried to do something different in the cities? And what if we stopped selling them on the notion that white men are the problem and that the government is going to help you get out from where you're at, and start using,
not gonna help.
Maybe we can start using communal neighborhoods. Maybe we can start actually, you know, doing neighborhood watches. Maybe you can actually have fathers stay in the home. Maybe you can put curfews on your kids from going out and fucking and having multiple kids. Maybe you can make sure that their bedrooms don't have drugs in it. Maybe you can go ahead and go to church. Maybe you can start having businesses and giving them tax incentives to start building across the railroad tracks again. Maybe you could rehab neighborhoods like Denver, Colorado. I don't like Denver. I have a lot of bad things to say about Colorado, but 5 Points was a reclamation project, which was unbelievably huge. And they saved that community. And they went in and they paid those people for the property that it was, and they got the bad people out. They got the prostitutes and the drugs out. They burned down those crack houses. They cleaned it out, and they built prestigious neighborhoods. And they allowed those people to live there and run those successful areas. And it is now one of the most prestigious spots in Colorado. Jeez. But you got to do it. Blue cities are the cancer. The cure is not to wait for them to die out like they're doing now, not to repopulate the voting masses with a younger crowd, because those are the people who vote Democrat. The point is to stop this insanity and start having legitimate law and order take over those areas. And this is why Donald Trump, I believe, should do exactly what he's saying he's going to do in Chicago. I understand where people are like, you can't bring in the military. Okay, then what are we going to do? Because you better figure it out.
You got to figure something out. At some point, somebody's going to have to. You know, this is why we have the Second Amendment. You know, when you dial 911, the average response time is well over 5 minutes now, I believe. Right? Well, by 5 minutes, you saw how long it took for that dude on the transit to slash that poor girl.
5 seconds. Elizabeth Hall donated $10.80. Thank you. 5 seconds
to protect yourself.
She was dead in 11 seconds. Her reaction, she bled out. I told you, it hit her jugular, and she aspirated into her lungs. She was toast. She drowned on her own blood. She blacked out.
I watched the video, and she sat there like in shock for a second, like what just happened. I bet you the pain didn't even register, and then likely what happened is she felt lightheaded and just went over.
Ralph Pettit said, you say take out ban guns. Ban guns? I said what? Ralph, you probably walked in the middle. Let me just show you something. Yeah, bro, I didn't say ban guns. I don't know if you see what's going on here, but you got the wrong dude. Never said anything.
Ban guns. We need them.
No. Sorry, that's the only thing that makes me sleep safe at night. And as far as a zip gun, or as far as a one shot or a 3D printed gun, these are not the problems. These are one-offs. It's just like saying that, well, there's innocent people who get killed on death row. Yes, but it's a one-off. So don't throw out everything simply because of something. And here's the thing. There was plenty of murder and death, and some of the largest deaths in history. Some of the most brutal, some of the most largest fatalities, mass fatalities that took place were done by swords and bows and arrows. So, you know, we can clutch pearls all we want, but Hamburger Hill and and the Alamo are not even remotely a scratch on the surface of Alexandria, not even a scratch on the surface of Attila the Hun, not even a scratch on the surface of the Hungs and the Cossacks. No.
Every now and then I hear arguments from the left, even from the left, where they will say, quote me, who said we're going to come and take all of the guns? And it's just like, you guys aren't listening to your own party.
Right.
Right. It wasn't that long ago that we put a ban on all automatic weapons. You can still get them, but you have to pay out the ass to the government, and you have to get investigated and blah, blah, blah. Right. Then now that wasn't good enough. So now we're going to move on to semi-automatic weapons, right? Which is literally almost everything out there. And then it wasn't but the last administration who wanted to ban the 9mm bullet. 9 mil, the most common pistol round in use in the world. He wanted to ban it. And so you just have to
listen to what you say. Semi-automatic, everything's gone. Less than 0.6% of the weapons out there that are not a shotgun are non-semi-automatic weapons.
Democrats want to ban all these guns, but release all of these criminals into the system.
Yeah. So
what do you think is going to happen?
Right. I just got asked a question by Josly. Matt, would you dare walk through Amsterdam at night in the Netherlands? Yes. Of course I would. There's no dare about it. It's a completely different system. They enforce their borders. They have a shit ton of immigration control. There's harsh penalties for violence. Any type of sex or drugs are all regulated by the government. They're all taxed by the governments in the cities. Their streets are safer. They all share a very similar culture. They're an amalgamation of different cultures from Europe and all over the area. So therefore their culture has settled versus the United States, which is a very young and juvenile culture and still trying to find its way. Amsterdam is an extremely safe city, and I would feel very comfortable walking around at night, but it doesn't mean I'm going to lose my sense of operational security and situational awareness. No matter how safe it is, I'm still going to go ahead and check my corners. I'm going to make sure that I don't put myself in a precarious position. But the moment that I feel safe is the moment that I'm no longer safe. But there's a lot of places in the United States I'll walk around at night that I feel completely safe without carrying too. So sure. It's not a question that I only have. Now you asked me a question. Are there more places in the United States that I'd feel safe walking around than Europe? Absolutely fucking not. I would never walk around Europe at night. Just because Belgium or Amsterdam or the Netherlands is an exception to the rule, I would feel safer walking around the United States in more places than I would anywhere in Europe. I wouldn't want to walk around Paris at night. I wouldn't want to walk around London in any way, shape, or form.
No.
I wouldn't want to walk around Berlin.
I was in London in 2014. I was there on a Saturday, and then and I was sightseeing, and there was a lot of political stuff going on, and I was smart. I steered clear of it. I was by myself. By Sunday, it was in the news where some dude had tried to take on most of the police force with a hatchet and managed to kill one or two people. A fucking hatchet.
Yeah, because they're disarmed. You know, I mean, you've got to, if you don't disarm your police force with at least weapons that are equivalent. Tina Savage, have a safe trip, man. Be safe over there. Just be safe over there. Okay, let's shift. We've got a lot to talk about tonight too.
Yeah.
Folks, donations, we need to go. Please, let's not make it stressful. Make it easy tonight. Please. Let's make it easy. I've had enough stress. You may think this is artificial intelligence. I'll tell you what this is. Take a look. Frankfurt, Germany. I wouldn't go anywhere in Germany. Sorry. I wouldn't go anywhere in England. I wouldn't go anywhere in France or Italy. I certainly wouldn't feel safe in Ukraine. I wouldn't feel safe in Poland. I have no desire to go to Europe. I've been there. I have no desire to do it again. Watch this video.
Where is this again?
I'm going to tell you in a second. But this is not AI. I know it's replaying. Hold on. I gotta ban somebody.
You're good.
So there's a lot going on in the world, and this is a perfect example of what happens with unchecked crime. This was Nepal's government palace in Kathmandu, completely destroyed. This is the prime minister's home, the foreign minister, Arzu Rana Duba, and protesters broke in.
Damn, dude.
Broke into his home, set it on fire. Wife died because wife was locked in. They closed her in. And they are now taking politicians. This is the finance minister, stripped his clothes off, threw rocks and stones, covered his head with a helmet. And subsequently then took other politicians and threw them in the river. When they tried to escape, they were stoned, and rocks and sticks were thrown at them. Rock just hit that guy.
No AR-15s in this
Nope.
revolution.
No,
huh?
no semi-automatic weapon, unless you call rocks a semi-automatic. That guy just got pelted with a rock. This guy has his hands on his head. They don't care. They just hit him rock with a face, or hit in the face with a rock. So he decides to go ahead and go swimming. That's what happens when politicians continue to piss off the people. They decided to go ahead and silence them by removing their voice, by removing all their social media. They're a communist government. And the people said, we've had enough. And the city is now burning. The military guard just surrendered to the Generation Z that is revolting. Here's one of the palaces. Here's the revolution. You can see all these people. There's tens of thousands are
It'll be interesting to see what they try to replace this government with. Logic would tell you that they would go with a government that would be far less intrusive on their lives. It would charge less in taxes, and a much smaller footprint. But it certainly does seem like these days, especially with the Gen Zers and maybe some people from some of these other countries, where maybe they feel like the government isn't doing as much for them, so they'd be okay with the higher taxes.
Right.
It'll be interesting to see what they replace it with.
You saw this with the French Revolution, right? The revolutionaries came in, they took out the government, and even Guillotine, who created the guillotine, was beheaded by his own device as the revolutionaries turned against the revolutionaries.
Bertrand Barrère.
Yeah, it was the guillotine.
Who weaponized the French military, not that there was one, but basically said, let's make terror the order of the day. And that was in the 1700s in France. And he weaponized the state against the people.
Yeah. And like I said, the person who designed the guillotine to punish the politicians wound up succumbing to his own device from the peasants who turned on the peasants and the revolutionaries. So usually chaos breeds more chaos, but this is going on in France. Leeroy and I were talking about this, that France has a revolution every 20 fucking years. I mean, France has been in a perpetual state of revolution since 1776. And before that, but I'm just letting you know, since America has has been around. We've had a civil war, an American Revolution, but France has been, like I said, in a perpetual state of civil war and overthrowing their government, and it's about to happen again. What you're seeing in Nepal is going to happen in France and has a very good chance of happening in England. So these are the things we're seeing all around the world. And this is not unique. Venezuela is very, very close to having this kick off and fire off. And their government is actually, in the Maduro regime, is considering escalation against the United States. And the reason why they're doing that, obviously, is to bring other powers to proxy Venezuela like we're proxying Ukraine. So Venezuela wants North Korea, China, Russia to proxy Venezuela against the United States, and they want to draw us into a conflict. Now, I'm letting you know that the conflict with Venezuela would be over in about 3 minutes. Yeah. That their Air Force, they have 34 planes. We will get those from Florida. we won't even take off. Like, we've got cruisers that can handle that. So Venezuela does not want to fuck with the United States of America.
That wouldn't even require the Ohio National Guard. Even that would be overkill in Venezuela.
Yeah. Like, our Cajun Navy could take out Venezuela. Okay. Let me just be honest with you. A bunch of guys with ARs and some flotillas could, like Greta Thunberg and her flotilla could.
Shrimp boat is all you need. Yeah.
Oh, shrimp boat captain. We got peanut butter and jelly shrimp. We got spaghetti shrimp. We got
man to port side. Bubba. Man to starboard side.
Mama always said that.
Mama said fire.
Venezuela is in fuego. And England's
Mama said you got first watch.
England's not far off. There's a world of hurt happening all over. And then you can take a look at what's happening now with Israel. They just went into, where did they hit? Did they hit Syria today?
I did not hear about this yet. So,
yeah, but they went and hit leadership in Hamas, and Ghazi Hamed was killed. They took his ass out. The Jews aren't playing. The Jews are saying we are going to eradicate all proxies for Iran, and we're going to hunt them high and low wherever we're at. And that's just the way it's going to be. So Congressman Tim Moore put in a removal for Magistrate Judge Teresa Stokes. She's the one who released the 14-time offender, and who allowed the son of a bitch who killed Irina Zarutska in Charlotte. They allowed who allowed him out, the Carlos, whatever the fuck his face is. They're asking for her removal, but nothing's going to happen. This is what Qatar. That's right. They hit Qatar.
That's right.
So, and Qatar is kind of like, we're good people. What the hell did we do? You haven't been, and you're on our nice list. Just shut up and take your hit.
They're terrible people.
They're horrible people, and we're only there out of a sake because they make a great refueling point and a country that isn't going to go ahead and shoot at us when we fly over. But don't get your knickers in a twist here. You're going to take the hit and you're going to shut up because you are harboring terrorists, and Qatar is a breeding ground for world terrorism. So the Jews hit Qatar. Good. They should hit everywhere. It is Qatar. I was tired. Yeah, Venezuela is also harbors terrorists. And like North Africa was very much Venezuela, South America is harboring terrorists, very much like Libya and North Africa was. So Venezuela's in a world of hurt.
And that's sad. That was once a country with just amazing resources.
It's going to be number 3 in the world.
Yeah. They were really headed on a really positive trajectory. And then one dictatorship comes in who advocates for socialism, and the whole thing turns to shit.
Don't worry, you're about to see it happen in New York with Mondani. Mondani gets in, you're going to see mini Venezuela 2.0. I mean, New York is going to bankrupt Like, yeah. Yeah, they got him. They hit Doha, and good. The Jews, listen, they told you, don't fuck with the Jews. Let them hit all these places. I don't care. If you're harboring terrorists, good, you're cleaning out the Middle East. The U.S., do you understand how much money this is saving us from us having to do it? We have to go in and trim the hedges once in a while. Not anymore. Let the Jews do it. Just give them their $3.6 billion.
Unleash them.
It saves us 150 to 250 billion a year. Do it. I see. That's why everyone's like, oh, why is America giving money to the Jews? It's like literally using, like, I don't know, Terminex or the Ortho Man, so you don't get an infestation of roaches and hornets. Is pay him $30 a month to come in here and spray everything versus having a $3,000 fucking remodel to do because rats infested your basement. Have the Jews clean it up. Good. What's wrong with that? All right. Here's Van Jones. Oh, these guys, these people. Leeroy. We're going back to this.
Hate that guy.
I don't hate him. I want to like him, but he's just such a turd. Here he is.
We don't know why that man did what he did. And for Charlie Kirk to say, we know he did it because she's white, when there's no evidence of that, it's just pure race mongering, hate mongering.
Killed that white girl. Killed that fucking white girl.
We don't know why that man did what he did.
I think we know why that man did what he did.
He killed the white girl.
Killed the white girl.
Sound pretty racial.
Yeah, might have some race involving. Here is the Ukrainian government tried to exhume the body. Not exhume. Not digging up. Request the remains to be brought back home. So that's not to exhume. Exhume is to dig up after postpartum. Right? Post-mortem. Pardon me. So requested the remains be brought back to Ukraine, and here is the response from their family that she loved America. And here's the other thing real quick. She was a BLM supporter. Does everyone know this?
I didn't know that.
She was. And this just shows that Republicans and conservatives are built differently. Because she wasn't a conservative. She wasn't a Trump supporter. She was pro-BLM. She had several flags of BLM and propaganda that you would say comes from the left, and I don't care. I don't hate liberals. I'm not a big fan of leftists, but I don't think they should be murdered.
Right.
So
that's the difference.
There's the difference. And if this person was a Trump supporter, this would be all over the news, and it would be completely different.
You never heard any Republicans just outright saying on social media, "Oh, somebody should unalive Biden or somebody should unalive, whoever." It just doesn't happen because the further right you go, you tend to steer clear of that kind of crap, right? That kind of hate and that type of messaging normally emanates from the left.
Yeah. Thomas Austin. Ollie North and Fawn Hall are wed in a secret ceremony in rural Virginia. That happened in August. So that might just be leaked now, but we all knew about it. So this was around the diner a few weeks ago, and I don't think it was too rural. I think it was in Arlington or something. So Ollie North happens to live grab a rock. Tink to tink tink tink. That's where he lives. He literally lives in my neighborhood. So yeah, it wasn't that big of a secret out here. Here is the FBI's response. Folks, 70, please. I don't want to,
come on.
I can't have this night tonight. I can't. Last night was too stressful. Just literally see all of the transactions that we have. We need some help. We got to hit it. We have a ton of people on. We have 152 on. If everyone gave $1, we would crush this thing and put it out of its misery. 53 on Facebook, or 71 on Facebook, 27 on YouTube, 53 on Twitter, and then plus 100 on Wimkin and Rumble. We need some help, folks. Tonight's the night. Go to thedumbshow.com/donate. Please donate. Help us out. Let's get there. We need to overdrive. Please, please, please. It's been stressful. We literally had our savings gone for 3.5 days, all over the weekend. So we got to make up some ground. Help us out here. Go ahead, Leroy.
Oh, I was just going to say, if you like what you're hearing, please go ahead and contribute to the show.
Yeah.
It would be much appreciated. It takes so much time and energy, and more than anything else, money to keep this show alive and running.
It does.
And
This face
all of
doesn't.
that comes.
This doesn't.
All of that
happen.
comes funded from you guys. So if you like what you're hearing, please keep us on the air.
Here is FBI on North Carolina stabbing.
Before we take questions, I want to add one thing that I hope the family won't mind me sharing. But after Irina's death, the embassy in Ukraine called and said, "We'll help you bring her home." And her family said no. They said she loved America. We're going to bury her here. So I think we can give her an America to be proud of. As Mr. Barnacle said, something here is broken, and we're here to fix it.
Full extent of the law, folks, needs to take place. This is an interesting exchange between Ben Shapiro and Dana Lausch. And I'm a big fan of Dana Lausch. You guys know that. I think she's, I don't know, smoke show. But not, there's more important thing. Do you think Massey and Marjorie Taylor Greene are dating? I think Massey is a douchebag. And I think his hatred for Jews is just about as close to his hatred for Trump. And I told you Marjorie Taylor Greene and Massey were complete charlatans and shills, and I told you they would expose themselves, and they have. That's, Loretta, what I think. You know I don't like Massey. I think he's a crook. I think he's a coward. I think he's an opportunist. And I think he has done everything he can to obstruct Donald Trump, and he's never done anything for his constituents. He hasn't provided one piece of legislation that's ever been successful. This whole Epstein piece of legislation is probably the only thing that he'll ever do. I think he's a turncoat. I think he's going to get his ass kicked. I think his favorability is negative 34 points. Donald Trump in Kentucky is only down 7 points. And a school teacher, I think she is, or a waitress or some shit, is at 31 points in favorability running against him. I think he's in double trouble. Is PayPal back up? Yes, you can donate regularly. They turned us back on today. What had happened was our business was never verified, and it hit a threshold of dollars coming in that was pretty good. So they put us under a business review, and we had to submit a bunch of paperwork, and it's up now. But we couldn't take donations last night, so we had to go with a secondary donation provider, and they took 15%, and we just barely hit goal. So it's been a little stressful. So we need some help, and we'd appreciate hitting and crushing it tonight. So if anyone has the ability, please help us out. Here's the video of Dana Lausch and Shapiro. But Leroy, I'm not going to keep you here too much longer. If you have to go, let me know.
You're good.
I know you got a lot to prep for. Here it is. Leroy will not be here next week, but he is here for tonight. And then Amy won't be here till next week too. Everybody's busy. Crazy stuff. Here's the video.
Who do you see as the leader of the Republican Party after Trump is out?
I'll turn it up.
I was talking to some folks at an event over. Who do you see as the leader of the Republican Party after Trump is out? Because I was talking to some folks at an event over the past week, and I was telling them I think the biggest threat to the future of the Republican Party is if the party has an inability to move past personality and refocus on issues and why we all do what we do in the first place. Is that something we're going to be able to get past? Or, because I don't know who can take that place of Trump. I mean, he's like kind of like a once in a lifetime candidate, love him or hate him.
Right.
No one is like him. What does it look like? If you look in your crystal ball, what do you see in the next election?
I mean, I think you asked why this was happening right now. I think the reason is because there's already a battle going on for what comes next after Trump. And there's a conspiratorial wing of the Republican Party that says they actually want to seize away from Trump his own movement. They say that Trump betrayed himself by attacking Iran, for example, or that Trump has betrayed himself by siding with Israel against Hamas. That part of the movement wants to grab control. This is people like Marjorie Taylor Greene, Tucker, some of these folks. And then you have folks who are sort of more libertarian minded, like Elon, right, who are trying to grab control of the movement and move it in that direction. Because Trump is such a huge personality and because he's so famous and he's so kind of gigantic, he's able to continue.
Robert says button isn't working for me. Which button, buddy? If you go to thedumbshow.com and go to /donate, I'll show you a video real quick. And you go to donate. and you come down here, you'll see this little new thing. Come here and you put in your donation, say $100. You put in Leeroy is a sexy bow hunk.
Mother lover.
Bow hunk. No. And you can do more. You can do Visa, PayPal, whatever. But if you go ahead and hit checkout, it'll take you right to this page. And you click see more options. You can see this. $100, PayPal, Venmo, pay later, Apple Pay, or you can put in your debit credit card. And I can't show you my debit credit cards, but that'll do it. And then you hit process, and that's it. It goes right through. So try that again. Let me know if it works.
In multitudes within him, and then sort of build a coalition underneath him. I don't see anybody on the horizon who's like that. And so I think that
it's so funny. All those shows that we used to do, like we used to have the dark set and the dark lighting, and then we moved and turned into lighter, brighter set, and everybody went to the dark set. And I'm just like, you know what? Keep up, people. I'm sorry, because Dana Lausch and Ben were two of the brightest sets, always well lit, and now they've kind of gone dark. And ours, we're still dark, you know, but we're better lit than we've ever been. But I don't know. I just found it interesting. Anyway, here's Robert says that ain't happening, Squid. I don't know. Whatever.
we're going to have to go through a bit of a fight here to determine what ideas lead the coalition. Yeah, I think that everybody's sort of tapping JD Vance on the shoulder as the heir apparent. And maybe that's true. I mean, just statistically speaking, the vice president is very frequently the next nominee of the party. But the idea that JD can somehow just pick up the Trump coalition and then carry it across the finish line, that is almost never true in politics. It was not true for Hillary Clinton about Barack Obama. It was really not true about George H.W. Bush, about Ronald Reagan. Every politician has to have their own coalition. And there are some uneasy seams inside, for example, the JD Vance coalition between sort of the Thiel libertarians and the...
Gene, you have to type it in. Don't use the link. Just type it in. Go to thedumbshow.com/donate, and then it'll take you right to it. Let me know if that works.
The Tucker isolationists and kind of big government Appalachia types. Yeah. So
Tom says, which way takes the least amount to operate? I don't know what that means. I don't know. Hold on, guys. I'm trying to show this video.
So it's going to be hard, I think, for the Republican Party to replace somebody like Trump in the same way it's been impossible for the Democrats to replace somebody like Barack Obama, which means, as you say, we're going to need to go back to some first principles and decide what are our actual ideas. It can't just be we don't like the Democrats. It's got to be like, what are we actually about here?
Right. Oh, Robert, I get it. He's not going to call me sexy. Listen, I want to talk about this, but I've got to show, because we got to hit goal, and people are trying to donate, and I guess they can't. So I got to walk through this real quick. I'm sorry, guys. We got to hit goal.
If you want to go ahead and try and troubleshoot that.
Well, I got to show. It's not troubleshoot. I got to show them how to do it, and then we'll talk about it.
I got you.
So real simple, dumbshow.com/donate. Just go click that button right here, donate, scroll down here. All you got to do, it's right there. Type it in, put in your note, and now hit PayPal checkout. It's going to do a pop-up. You have to have your pop-up. If you have a pop-up blocker, turn it off. If you have a pop-up blocker, turn it off. If not, just go ahead and hit checkout, and then you can select PayPal from here. But it's going to pop up to PayPal because it's got to go and put in your PayPal card. So if it doesn't open up, it's because you have your pop-up blocker turned off. The best place to donate is Venmo or PayPal. They take the least amount. PayPal takes 3.5%. We had to pay 15% last night. So you got to remember, this is the one thing is you have a pop-up blocker. If you look up at your window, so if I come over here and there's not, then just tell me what it is because I'm working. I got it right here, 2110 Thomas Austin. Thank you, Tommy. So remember, when you come here and you hit PayPal, watch what happens. You got to fill in your number. You get a pop-up. And that's when you've got to put in your information to PayPal. Okay? So that's how it works. Same thing with Venmo. You go into Venmo and a pop-up is going to come up and you got to scan it. And if you hit checkout, though, you can actually put in a credit card if you want to, and that doesn't require a pop-up. But if you're going to pay with PayPal or Venmo money, you've got to go to the PayPal Venmo site. Leroy, get your thoughts on this when it comes to J.D. Vance. Do you see a difference between
Right.
Hillary Clinton and Obama? Do you see a difference? Because it didn't matter with Joe Biden and Obama. He came in and nobody said, well, wait a second, where's the vision of the Democrats? I have a take on it. What's yours?
So Ben's not wrong in that any new candidates that would be pushed forward. Thank you to Paul Rivera, who donated $50. Says a little weird going through the website. I'll get used to it. No,
Thanks,
thank
buddy.
you, Paul.
Yep.
It was much appreciated, sir.
Thank you.
The big things that separate the two parties, though, are abortion, inflation, employment, guns, immigration, and taxes. So when Ben is trying to articulate why one candidate might be like, who's going to take that over from Trump? Because it's almost like the question was originally pitched to say, well, now that we're dealing with these crazy stances on these topics, they're not that crazy. And really, anybody who is even a mainstream or down the middle Republican can definitely get behind the idea of lower taxes or controlling the immigration more so. And so I think the next candidate, whoever that tends to be, Brenda Shepard, says love, and she threw in the kitty there $10.
Thank you, Brenda.
I think it's just going to be the same. It's going to be the same policies, just spoken differently, just articulated a little bit differently. Everyone is going to recognize that where Donald Trump's policies landed us, right, was probably on a pretty damn good track. Like, you didn't have to like him to understand that his policies were pretty solid. And whoever the next candidate is just has to maintain that, but wrap it in a little bit better of a way so that that person themselves isn't quite the lightning rod that Donald Trump was.
Interesting. So I think I have a different take, and it's not so far from you. I think you aligned with Ben. Robert, thank you, buddy. $20. You ain't sexy. Bullshit, brother. I'm too sexy for my shirt.
My penis says different.
So my penis disagrees with you vehemently. Here's my take. Donald Trump did not establish himself as a conservative candidate in 2016. In fact, he didn't establish that until he picked his judges. And once he picked the judges, people are like, oh, wait a second. He sounds pretty damn conservative. He won the Republican primary, not because he was more conservative than those other people, because all those other people lied better than he did about being a conservative. He ran because he was going to be a change agent and a disruptor. So Trump winning in 2016 had nothing to do with him being more Republican than anyone else. He lost in 2020 because the Democrats used COVID to their advantage and honestly beat the Republicans to the courts. And the reason why we won in 2024 is because people were absolutely sick to death and remembered a better time under Donald Trump, and the Republicans got to the courts. We had more lawyers on the ground than any other election. You could have taken the last 10 Republican elections, and we had more lawyers on the ground in 2024 than we did in all 10 of those elections. That's no joke. And we ensured that the proper state process of voting took place, and we got to get out the vote more than ever because we switched from social media, which is what Joe Biden focused on, which won in 2016, but that's not why Trump won. He won because he did the podcast circuit, and he reached hundreds of millions of people who listen to Joe Rogan and others because they love them, but also because they hate them. And it helped turn the middle of the road vote. That's why he won. In 2028, it will not be anything that anyone does on a podcast. It will not be social media. It will be, did Donald Trump fulfill his promises enough around border security, about the economy, about energy, and ensuring that we have America kind of back to where we anticipate it to be. No matter what, If that has not taken place, if inflation all of a sudden gets out of control, if the stock market crashes, if Social Security gets impacted, if we get into a war, if any of those major things happen, Donald Trump, doesn't matter who runs, Republicans will be replaced. This election will not be about party affiliation. It will not be about the transfer of who's different than Donald Trump. It's, will this person be able to turn us away from Donald Trump's policies that were a failure, which I don't think will happen, or can it be a person who can continue down the course, who has a vision for America, who is not Donald Trump? That is not J.D. Vance. J.D. Vance is not Donald Trump. I like J.D. Vance. I think he's a smart guy. I think he's great. I do not think he has the capability to be the president of the United States. I see Glenn Youngkin coming in and possibly for the first time ever, see a vice president on one ticket become the vice president on the new non-incumbent ticket. I will say what I've always, yes. Yeah. Because I think it gets you the Trump vote, but I also, the billionaire class and the elites of the Republicans love Youngkin. And they're already buying polling stations for him in 2028. They were going to go ahead and push him in 2024 against Trump versus DeSantis. But because we lost the primary in Virginia and got our asses kicked, they moved to DeSantis, which was so successful in Florida, which turned, 24 out of 26 counties red, which was monumental. So they backed DeSantis and said, thinking that he had enough staying power to go after Trump, which he didn't. Nikki Haley undercut DeSantis and Trump. And then once he flipped on abortion, he went ahead and scrapped Nikki Haley and then no longer needed DeSantis in any way, shape, or form. So I don't see DeSantis running. I don't see Nikki Haley. I mean, they may run. But I think Youngkin comes
they would
out
be
of
in
Virginia.
that group, that first kind of wave of guys who throw their hat in the ring, and they're immediately like one of the first to announce their pulling out of the race. You know,
I like Vance. I just don't think he has. I just don't know if he has it. I'll have to see. But if Trump's policies fail, they're not going to run Vance. If we go into a recession, if the stock market crashes, if we start seeing unemployment rise, if we see inflation creep up, and all these things can happen. I mean, the economy is fickle. Then they're not going to push Vance because they're going to want to move far away as possible. And that's when you see a Youngkin coming in and just slam dunking it. But if you want somebody who is a multimillionaire businessman who is sharp and has the politician savvy, but can also bring the middle of the aisle towards Republicans, that's Governor Glenn Youngkin, because he did it in Virginia. Donald said, but who wants to educate Donald that I never said Nikki Haley was going to be president? Does anyone want to educate Donald? Because I never said that. Donald says, but didn't you say, Matt, that Nikki Haley was going to be the president? I never said those words in my life. Never. Not once. Nope. I said Donald Trump is going to need to bring the women back to the fold, and the way he does that is to address the abortion question, and Nikki Haley has the best answer of abortion on anyone running on either side. And she did, because she was polling at 61% with the nation. And it showed because she had 23% of the primary vote. She was polling 23% of the vote. She was the last person standing, like I said. Remember, I said the vice president of Donald Trump is going to be one of two people. It's going to be Ron DeSantis or it's going to be Nikki Haley. Those were the last two remaining. But once Nikki Haley went ahead and he went to the middle on abortion, I told you he doesn't need them and he's going to dump them both, and he did. Nikki Haley was a great choice to bring the women in until he moved towards the center on abortion. The moment he did that, he no longer needed her. And then it was just whoever he picks. It doesn't matter.
And isn't it funny that the center on abortion was really just pushing it back to the states? Isn't that funny?
Yeah, but see, it's interesting. Yeah, here's the thing, Rachel, is when we say VP J.D. Vance and Marco Rubio for VP, Marco Rubio is horribly unpopular. He didn't do well at all in the primaries. He did horrible in 2016. He was a wet fart in 2020. I like Marco Rubio, but he's not popular. He's small of stature. He's a nice guy. He's tough, and he's in a great spot right now. I love him. I love him as Secretary of State. I think he's great at it. Do I see him as a VP? No. We've got to remember that you're going to have to energize the right. The right is going to lose a person who they've been polling for by that time, 15 years. Yeah. And you're going to change the face. It's like Reagan leaving. This is monumental. As much as the Bushes leaving changed the Conservative Party, which it did, as much and for the better, as much as Reagan no longer there, which was for the worse, 15 years of Donald Trump, you are going to have somebody who has the business sense of Donald Trump and the political savvy of like a Steve Scalise.
I know what you mean.
I'm just going to say it, like a Steve Scalise. I mean, I'm just was thinking of the person I wanted to pick. Youngkin is that person. He has the political savvy and the business, and he also goes after the media very, very well. Go ahead, Leeroy.
You have to remember also that for as much as a lightning rod as Trump was for the left, he was also that very same thing for the right. A lot of people who were the MAGA types, the red hatters, to them, they felt like they were represented again. And so as much as that lightning rod euphemism tends to get thrown around a lot, in this case, I think it's warranted. Who would step into that role next? And I don't think that there's anybody within the party that could fulfill that right now. So
you don't think Youngkin? You don't think Youngkin can?
I don't think he's quite the same level of lightning rod.
You haven't seen him enough.
I don't.
You haven't seen him enough.
Maybe that's fair.
That's fair. You haven't seen him enough. I saw what he did in Virginia. There was no reason to win Virginia. He absolutely just turned a blue state purple himself. Youngkin is magnanimous. He's like Gavin Newsom without the slick. Mm-hmm. He's a country boy, and he's a billionaire, and he's super smart. I don't think the Republicans have seen a candidate like this ever. If Youngkin runs, Republican Party's never seen this because he's slick like a liberal in that sense, is that he's like a Kennedy, he's like a Newsom, but he's actually honest and he's relatable, and people they flock to him. He reminds me of a Kennedy for Republicans. I think he would probably be one of the most successful Republican candidates if he runs. And you know me, dude. I'm not going to say that unless I believe it. Somebody said Vance Tulsi, Barbara. I love you, Barbara. But I warned you about two people, Thomas Massey, and I warned you about Marjorie Taylor Greene. And I'm here to warn you about Tulsi Gabbard. You do not want her in a position of politics. At all.
No.
At all. Barbara, I respect you, and I'm not trying to be condescending, but all you need to do is go and look at her platform in 2020 and to know that she is not the right person. Yeah, Tulsi Gabbard is not the right person to run for office. She was a diehard progressive socialist in 2020. People are like, well, she changed. That scares me even more.
Right.
That terrifies the shit out of me. Anyone
people
who literally
flip-flop on their policies, that's one of the first red flags that anybody should look for to say, okay, why did they flip? Because if it wasn't for anything intrinsic, if it was simply for any
political
idea
gain,
that we're going to get more votes out of it, well, then you're just a shill.
Yeah, and I'm not here to disrespect her. She has an absolute right to change her mind and to change her policies. That's fine. But when you literally give up on every single ideal that you have, that's a lot. That's all. That's a lot. And it's hard for me to swallow. I'm trying to look for, hold on. Okay, here is, I just want you to listen to this real quick. Then you got to get out of here. You got to go. It's too late. Folks, we got to hit goal. 275.41. Come on, people. Help me out. Help a brother out.
Which part of it do you think hits Democrats squarely?
Well, of course, it's the same message that voters last year in Virginia spoke so loudly about, which is they're tired of the chaos. They're tired of chaos in their economic and financial life, where inflation is quietly stealing their hard-earned money. They're tired of their schools being in a state of chaos, where they were shut unnecessarily for an extended period of time. Their kids suffered, and parents have been shut out of their kids' lives, and they're tired of crime in their cities, where, in fact, the progressive liberal Democrats have done nothing but make things worse. And so this is what Virginians stood up last year and spoke loudly about. I see it happening across the nation. And I think this is going to be a big moment for Republican gubernatorial candidates to win states that Joe Biden had won, and those Republicans that are running in states that have seen the benefit of having a Republican governor will reelect those Republican governors.
So I'm curious to know, what are the conversations that you're having with those Republican candidates for governor on the ground in terms of fixing some of the things that are going on in some of their states where cities are led by Democrats? I want to know what that looks like, because there's going to be a lot to fix.
There's a ton to fix. Listen, let me tell you from personal experience. We came in on January 15th, went to work on day one. We issued over a dozen executive actions and executive orders, filed over 50 bills, put in budget amendments, and went to work. And that's what each one of these new Republican governors in these states that have been led so poorly by Democrat governors are going to have to do. And it is everything from reestablishing standards of excellence in schools, not watered down expectations, but high expectations.
He's good, dude. He took a blue.
I love his energy.
Oh, he took a blue county, our blue state, and literally flipped it on its ear. And he's been fantastic ever since. My daughter, which is insane, is that when she graduates from high school, she doesn't want to go to college. She wants to actually campaign for Youngkin, and she wants to volunteer for his campaign. And I'm just like, this is my daughter, right? So she wants to cut her teeth on doing it. What do I think of Larry Elder for Youngkin's VP? I think Elder's great. You have to have, see, it's really interesting because you still want to bring in the Trump voter. And it very might be possible that J.D. Vance picks Youngkin, because then that's a really interesting dichotomy, because you get the experience from Youngkin, a successful governor, you get the billionaire class happy, and him and Youngkin are a very youthful ticket, which could be very appealing to the masses. So even if it's reversed, and more than likely, J.D. Vance wouldn't take a VP position because his best chance to win would be after Trump. But it depends. I'm just telling you, if Trump's last remaining 2.5, 3 years is good, then J.D. Vance will run. And he'll be the Republican nominee. And if it's not, they are going to cut from him as soon as they possibly can and put Youngkin at around the 12 to 16 month mark as the go-to. Because I'm telling you, they were going to do it. They're buying up right now polling stations for him. That is a clear sign and indicator that someone's going to run. And it's all the RNC. Right now, I don't think the RNC believes that J.D. Vance is going to be on the ticket. That's just where they're at. But if Trump is extremely successful and his approval rating can go up a little bit and Democrats keep shooting themselves in the face, anything can happen. Leeroy, you take us out here. I don't think we're going to hit gold tonight. It just drives me crazy because we were
$24.59, right? That's what we need.
Yeah.
$24.59. Can somebody hook us up?
You get out. You get out of here. Take us home.
So the thing, I completely agree with you. I think that either JD with a Glenn Youngkin ticket or vice versa that's a solid ticket right there.
It's a great ticket.
There's enough talent on that ticket. You had already mentioned the youth factor, which is huge. I could see, thank you so much, Mel Lowe, who donated $31.40. Mel, you the woman.
Thank you, man. You're the best, man.
I could see that also being used against them, and that, it's the two white male kind of scenario.
Democrats aren't going to put a black person or a woman again. They're not going to make that mistake. They're not. Nobody from San Francisco, no woman, no black person. Just trust me. I'm just telling you right now. They're going to go with white.
So.
White, possibly with a black VP, but the person on the head of the ticket is going to be white.
I would think that they would continue down that path, right? They still have not gone back to the center with regard to any of their policies.
It's going to be Newsom.
And because of that, I think that they're going to still try to hang out on this fringe kind of movement and bring in some of these nut jobs, which is not going to bode well.
Listen, they don't know what their party platform is. How are they going to run? They don't know. When Trump's out of the picture, I don't think they know what to do. Like, it's literally like a kid pulling off the training wheels. They have no idea what to do.
Yeah.
And they're going to be splatting all over the place because what do they say? Well, okay, pro-gun, no. Pro-border, no. Legal immigration, no. Anti-war, no. Empowering the parents, no. No kid,
Right.
no women in men's sport. I mean, what are they going to do? They can't run on anything. He's taking it all away from them, and all the candidate has to do, like Youngkin, is go, hey, folks, I know I have been a governor of Virginia. Maybe I didn't see everything, but I'm mistaken. Weren't you guys against border protection just like 12 months ago? Wait a second.
How many people have moved out of California after you got in? Maybe you could explain that one.
Weren't you guys against the Fed? I mean, now you're for lowering interest rates. Wait, I don't understand. Hey, what do you mean?
You fought against the bigger federal government for better than 4 years while Trump is in office. Now you want to represent that same federal government and grow it?
Weren't you against tariffs, but you all voted for them? Wait a second. Weren't you against the Trump tax cuts, but you were all for them? Weren't you against pharmaceutical?
Pick it apart.
So whoever runs is going to be able to destroy him. And Vance, although if he's successful, then it's easy. But Youngkin could come in there and just destroy him. And his line will be this, because I know how Youngkin thinks. I saw him run a campaign. I supported him. I went to his rallies. He'll just run it like this. Hey, I know I'm just a Virginian Commonwealth boy, who wears a sweater vest and stuff. But I got a question. Hey, I know I'm on a bus and I'm not on big planes. Hey, I know I'm out there and get my shoes dirty and I wear boots, but I got a question for you. This is what he'll do. And he will earn America. Middle America will flock to him. The coastal elites will fucking love him. And he will crush Newsom because Newsom will come off as authentic and come off as a 90210 guy. And Youngkin will come across as a genuine Walton. I do have to show you this one video. This is pretty powerful.
Yeah.
This is from a black gentleman. I don't know who he is. I'm sure he's a rapper or an actor. He has tattoos all over his face. I don't care. I think the guy's amazing. And he had this to say, and I thought this was really badass. There's a little language in here, but this is really important. By the way, folks, we have hit goal, but we really need to overdrive. If we have anyone who is willing to donate, let's get it in there. Let's hit it. We need it, please. Remember last week we had a holiday. We took a night off because we went to Def Leppard, and we lost all of our PayPal transactions. And it definitely had a hit. So if you can help us out, let us know. Here is the video.
I really wish they found out who started that GoFundMe for Buddy ass that stabbed that lady on that bus. I swear. Some of y'all need to be hunted down and beat. Y'all making up these weird ass excuses talking about.
Kat, thank you so much. Kat Sidman, appreciate you.
Thank you,
$25. That helps, Kat. Thank you.
Mental health played an important part. So fucking what? He need to be under the jail. His ass still need to chill. What the fuck does that mean? Knock it the fuck off. He wasn't that crazy. It was other men on that goddamn bus. There were males. His ass ain't pull that shit with a man. He pulled it with a woman. His ass wasn't that goddamn crazy. His ass seen a victim. He seen an easy one, an easy kill, and he took it. Y'all talking about some goddamn mental health. Everybody ain't just mentally off. A lot of these motherfuckers are demons. And y'all keep giving them excuses. That man was a demon. That's it, that's all. Y'all talking about mental health. So goddamn what? Weird as hell.
By the way, I guarantee you that man lives in Houston, Texas. He lives in Houston, by the way. I know the fence. I know the grass. I know the AC sound. I even know I can hear the humidity in the air. I bet you $1.5 billion that guy's from Houston, Texas. I even know I bet he's in Spring, Texas. That looks like my old backyard minus the pool. But I got the vibe. I can feel it. Listen, it's the truth. I don't like him blaspheming the whole time, but I'm who am I? I'm not some reformist. Let you guys know, my minute. I went to church again on Sunday. Ethan joined us, and Ethan will be joining us as well. We've decided to join that church. It was a very good experience yet again. The pastor, out of everybody, it was packed this time. I mean, they must have had 300 people there. I walk in and he's like, Mike. And I said, no, the other prophet, the other guy. And he's like, it's not prophet, disciple, right? But Matthew, Luke, John, Michael was an angel, whatever. So I don't know what I said to him. I said something like that.
Yeah.
I said
Yeah.
Michael was an angel, but I just said the other M in the Bible. And he's like, Matthew. And I said, yep. And he goes, and Olivia and Hayden and Ethan. Is that right? I'm like, holy crap. This guy's good.
He's good.
And he came in and he's like, how are you? And I said, good. I'm like, I'm sorry we weren't here Sunday. And he goes, what were you doing? I said, Well, it was Labor Day. And he goes, yeah, holidays are, gotta be with the family. It's like, what'd you do? He's like, I went down and saw Def Leppard at Virginia Beach. He's like, I love Def Leppard. He's like, were they good? And I said, absolutely. And he's like, that's awesome. And I said, so you love them, huh? And I said, favorite album? And he's like, oh, see, you don't trust me. And I'm like, no, I don't. So favorite, he's like Pyromania is one of my favorites, but Hysteria is what I grew up on. And I said, okay. And I said, so you're a glam rock Def Leppard fan? And he's like, yeah, guilty. That was it. And just nice guy, just amazing. And we had a great time. It was a beautiful sermon again. So, we're feeling good. We're feeling really, really good when it comes to being around the church. Leroy, give us your minute, and then we're going to get the hell out of here.
Just a fun show. We talked a lot, especially about this poor girl who was murdered. Shouldn't have happened. And then we talked a little bit about Glenn Youngkin versus Trump. We talked about some of the policies that
revolutions
are going to be coming down the pike, things that we're going to be, political ads that I think we're going to be seeing within the next 2-3 years. It'll be interesting to see how the midterms turn out. Thank you to everyone who donated. We hit 331.81. Thank you so much, guys. And beyond that, if you're a Democrat, just do me a favor and suck less tomorrow.
Yeah, try. If you have not had a chance, go over and get the Zero White Guilt shirt. It is out now. A lot of people said they were going to buy it. Let's see. I don't know if that's true. I don't know if I trust y'all. I don't think you have the courage to wear it. I'm wearing it. I've got mine ordered, and I'll be rocking it on the show. Also, if you would not mind going over to thedumbshow.com, pick yourself up the Documents of Freedom. You get a copy of the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, and the Declaration of Independence. Like, that's not enough. You also get a custom wood box, which fits into your library. You can put it to the side like this, which shows the single star. There's also another on the back. It's all painted with a blue stain, and then it is engraved, Documents of Freedom. It is solid wood, and it is a beautiful display. Leroy has his out every time. I do as well. And you can go pick that up for holiday.
If you wanted to, Matt, if this was an option for you, just the wooden piece right here, right? Just this back piece. If you wanted to, there's enough room on that where we could each give a signature.
I thought about that.
Send it around and then send it off to the whoever orders. I would do that.
I think that's something that we most definitely will do. We'll have to fill out logistically what that looks like, but at least I can guarantee this is myself and Olivia can certainly sign it. And then next time we get Leroy out here with Amy, we could, and Amy could sign it too. We could have a few boxes signed, and that would be an awesome idea. I agree with you. Want to thank everyone for being around. Please do me a favor, like, share, and subscribe. We had a whole bunch of people on. If you could, before you leave, hit the like button out here. We would appreciate it. It means the world to us. We'll see you guys tomorrow. It'll be Olivia and I. We have the con. No Amy, just Olivia and I. And then we'll see Leroy on Thursday, and then he's off for a week. Roger?
Yeah. Yep.
All right, everybody. See you guys tomorrow night at 7 o'clock. Be good. Take care of each other. We'll talk to you soon. Good night.
Peace out, homies.
Adjusting transmitter output.
Thanks, Leroy.
This is the Don't Unfriend Me Show with your hosts, Matt, Leroy, Amy, and Olivia. Geopolitics, military analysis, and election coverage. Coming to you live on all major social media channels at The Dumb Show. Honest, direct, unfiltered. We can agree, we can disagree. Just don't unfriend me.